everyone. This is Marcus Geisler with GAMGA TV, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming several of the GAMGA board members. We've got Holger, we've got Kurt, and we've got Walter, and I will here in just a moment give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. Obviously in this 2021 COVID-canceled season, GAMGA isn't going to be the same as usual when it comes to the GAMGA Gala. It's going to be relatively quiet in Las Vegas on that third weekend of January, but that doesn't mean that we can't have some fun right here and right now. So sit back, relax. I'll pass it on at this point in time to Holger, so he can start introducing themselves, and then we'll pass it on. And then if one of you could also introduce what GAMGA is, what it's all about, that would be great. So Holger, please.
Hello, everyone. GAMGA, hello.
GAMGA, hello.
Hello.
So, yeah, I'm Holger, the president of GAMGA, the tall guy with the big mouth, usually starting the events. And I'm happy to be here today. And well, we have at least a little selection of our GAMGA board here. And with that, I hand it over to Kurt.
Hello, GAMGA, hello.
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 I am Kurt Hauptmann. I am the GAMGA Vice President, the GAMGA Vice President. I'm the one that typically does a lot of the announcements at the GAMGA Gala. I organize the programs, and I talk a lot too at these events. I'm one of those board members. And yeah, it's a bit of a different carnival season this year, and certainly we're disappointed that we won't all be in Las Vegas in person. But it's nice to be able to get together, talk a little bit about Carnival, share some memories, have some good times, and have a little bit of fun. And so with that, I will introduce to you our GAMGA Ehrenpräsident, Mr. Walter Lübke.
Alaf.
Hello.
Hello.
Alaf comes from Hannes Schuster. He was my trainer, and he introduced me to GAMGA and gave me all kinds of little jobs. I had to carry the flag, and then I became a delegate for the Deutsch-Amerikanischen Verband. And by stupid thing, I became vice president. And Hannes always told me, first you say Alaf and then hello, because he was from Cologne and the Alaf had to come first. So, and well, I grew up without Carnival, and but then I went to Switzerland and then got the Carnival in southern Germany, the Fastnacht. And later on, I spent a whole season in Tettnang, close to the Bodensee, and went to school, but the school broke up for Carnival. For a couple of days, we had no school. So, and I became interested, and even when I came to the United States, I did not participate. But for some reason, they made me prince. And it basically changed my life, my social life. So, you all know that I became, after being vice president, and became president of the GAMGA organization. And I thought that was a temporary job for me, but I held it for 9 years. So, and then it was high time for Holger to take over. But I made sure before Holger could take over that he became a prince. That was very important to me.
Well, I guess that leads to the next question. So, Walter, when did you join GAMGA then? When did you become part of GAMGA?
Soon as I became prince.
And that was
we went to GAMGA, and the following year I was already I took care of the princess, the GAMGA princess.
Adjutant.
Adjutant, yes.
Yeah.
Nobody told me I was the adjutant, but there was nobody inside, and I just took the job.
And when was that? 96 or something like that?
That was in 95.
95.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Kurt, how long have you been part of GAMGA?
Well, so I joined the Anaheim Kinderkarnevalsgruppe in January of 1991.
Okay.
So yeah, this January it's going to be 30 years since I've been active in Carnival. I joined the Anaheim Karnevalsgesellschaft, the adult group, if you will, from the Anaheim KG, in the fall of 1997. I had been Kinderprinz in February of 97, and so then I graduated to the adult group in the fall. I spent several years in the Anaheim Karnevalsgesellschaft Prinzengarde, and it wasn't until the fall of 2008 I actually moved on to the San Diego Karnevalsgesellschaft, where I spent a few years as the Tanzpaar. And after 5 carnival seasons in San Diego as Tanzpaar, I came back to the Anaheim Karnevalsgesellschaft to be Prince. And after I was Prince, I stuck with the Anaheim Karnevalsgesellschaft Elparat. Now, somewhere in between leaving San Diego and coming back to Anaheim, our GAMGA Ehrenpräsident approached me, and that's when I began my career, so to say, on the GAMGA board. I began as GAMGA secretary. There was an open position, so I was appointed to the board. And since then, I spent several years on the GAMGA board as GAMGA secretary. And then when Walter Lübke retired from the GAMGA president position, Holger became president, and at that point I became the GAMGA vice president, and that's the position I've been in ever since.
All right, thank you. Okay, so you've got quite some experience. Moving on,
30 years.
Yeah, to our president.
You want to add up the years, yeah? You can add another 40 years of mine, so we are almost in the 100-year experience.
Yeah, there we go.
That's impressive. So that's quite good. I mean, obviously, I mean, and you know, we spoke a little bit before the interview, and we all spoke in German, and that's obviously, you guys are connected with German culture in certainly in this way, obviously as well. And you know, there's yes, GAMGA certainly is a North American association with some German members. I understand that as well, but you know, but to be able to tie that to what's going on with Carnival in Germany is really good. So to see all that experience, I think GAMGA is in good shape to have all that for sure. You were going to say something else, Holger?
No, that was basically I started 40 years ago, but then I moved in Carnival-free areas like Bavaria and so on. Took a long break. Then coming back to America, to the Phoenix Club, they grabbed me immediately and said, "Hey, you did Carnival. You know what Carnival is, so you are automatically a member."
There you go. Yeah.
2009, Walter called me and let's do GAMGA.
They do have those Carnival diasporas in different places. Yes, even in Germany. Even though it's always amazing to me, you know, how Carnival is celebrated, you know, differently in different regions. Even if you go up and down the Rhine from Düsseldorf to Köln to Mainz, you know, there's certainly different nuances to the way that the Carnival is celebrated there. And that's why, again, if you know, it's like some of the GAMGA Vereine have connections, close connections with some of the clubs in Germany. You know, you really only get one slice if all you ever, you know, the time you all ever spend is in Köln. And yes, the different clubs have traditions as well, but it's, you know, it's nice to have the different influences for sure.
Right.
So
I will never forget the story. Walter and I visited the Bundeskanzleramt maybe 6-7 years ago, you know, and basically handed over some orden for Miss Merkel. And they have this big reception for the Bundesländer Karneval Vereine. And every Bundesland had a Karneval Verein sent, except for Hamburg. Hamburg, no Karneval at all.
But for us in Anaheim, it was always the biggest event every year, Carnival in Hamburg.
Yeah, that's true. Always, yeah, the biggest theme.
Yeah, that's true. You guys do have the Reeperbahn there, which I guess you know we'll get to maybe some of the other events here in a little while, but let's talk about you know, when was GAMGA founded and how did it come about? Are any of the founding members still around? How much history are you guys aware of?
I think I'm the one who has the best history of that. The Carnival in America died. After World War II, as far as I know, there is the Rheinische Verein in Chicago and barely anything else. So the Carnival we talk about today was founded around 1960. The Germans came over, they struggled to make a life, and then they wanted to have a little fun. And so they started the German clubs. Soon as they had a German club, they started Carnival. See, the Phoenix Club started in 1960. 1965, they started the Carnival group. This is another thing. When you go to Germany and tell them, oh, I belong to a Carnival group, what is that? It's a Karnevalsverein, a group, impossible. But since we are a subdivision of a club here, we are a group. And but I gave up on explaining it. Now here in Southern California, we had the South Bay, the Phoenix Club, and San Diego. They started within 1 year of each other. And then they had a little bit in Las Vegas. And so those 4 groups, they got together. Sometimes in Las Vegas, sometimes here. I remember one time I was not a Carnival member. There was an announcement, they are coming by motorhome from Las Vegas. Another announcement, the motorhome couldn't make it, there was too much snow. They had to turn back. They flew out. They did not want to miss the party, they came by plane. And so these groups, they kept visiting each other. GAMGA was officially started in 1985. But I have a few Orden, they are before 1985. So the official start was 85, and Hannes Schuster was the person who really was after it. And he organized Paul Günnemann from the Phoenix Club, Rob's father, and Siggy Schuster very early, Horst Neu from the South Bay Club, and those are still founding members. And then they started going and nothing happened. They didn't have any money when I look at the records. Till Erwin Simmons came along, and about 1995. I was Prince in 94. In 95, they made the event in the plaza. In 94, the event was at the, I forgot the name, at the Harris, only Friday night. But then 95, Friday and Saturday. And now GAMGA started their own event, and now some money came in. And that got things going. So any organization needs money. Otherwise you cannot exist. I should not say it too loud, but recently, sometimes the GAMGA has more money in the bank than the Bund Deutscher Karneval.
Uh-oh, what does that say about the BDK, or what does that say about GAMGA?
I hope Rob takes it out. But I'm proud of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Every year, except this year, I go to the Bund Deutscher Karneval for their annual meeting. And when I see the figures they have, I shake my head,
Yeah, but I want to say, of course, the Bund Deutscher Karneval doesn't give a big ball. We have a big ball, and I tell you that is a 50,000 plus budget just for one event.
Yeah.
And it's quite a bit of a risk. If people wouldn't come and so on, we could be broke in 1 year.
Sometimes on the way back from Las Vegas, I told my wife, make notes. And I kind of figured out how much money went into one GAMGA event. And this is an amazing figure. When you look at the airplane flights, the buses, private cars, and the hotel rooms, that adds up to an amazing figure every year.
Yeah, well, obviously that means that people are interested in the culture, because yeah, it takes a little bit of an investment, especially for the clubs who are coming, from the East Coast, from Canada, right? Even some again from Germany who come to Vegas. Yeah, that's certainly, they think it must be worth it.
Yeah.
Make a cultural event, it is no big deal. But you make a big party like we did in Las Vegas, and every year we try to do it a little better. That makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. And people notice that, I'm sure, too.
And Erwin tried to get entertainment from Germany, and that never worked. But we relied on our own people. And when you have people in Canada who come up with skits and show up, and then from the Phoenix Club, our Smileys, they practiced basically whole year. Those were women, they were too old to dance, but they wanted to show up in Las Vegas and do something. And they kept on practicing. And I think we have had some pretty good shows. Not all of them were good, but recently in the last years, you could not say that there was any bad show there, And this is the participation. When people practice whole year, and the Narren of Ulm with the Fasnacht. So from they really picked up their mask from New Ulm, and so that all brings color and excitement into it. Yeah. So I think that's why we were successful.
Well, good. That's hopefully something that came from some of the things that you do at some of those GAMGA events, and of course people expect certain things. So trying to move the agenda along a little bit. Tradition. Are there certain things that are part of GAMGA, that are part of certain GAMGA events every year that people expect? Have those traditions evolved in any way? Who would like to speak to that?
Well, Hannes Schuster had the idea it has to be Cologne. Erwin had the idea it has to be Cologne. And I came out and said, this does not work. We are there for the German-speaking part of the world. And that includes whole Germany, that includes Austria, it includes Switzerland. And the Swiss make a darn good Fasnacht. So, giving everybody the right to perform and accept everybody, I think that made us work.
Okay, that makes sense. I noticed that when I came for the first time. You're right, it certainly wasn't just Cologne, because I was used to a certain style from Köln, and it was more than that. Holger, any other traditions that come to mind?
Yeah, let's say, as we all know, Carnival to a certain degree is also a repeating event. So it is based on tradition, so things repeat. So we always have and will have a Prinzenpaar, which we crown, and we take the crown away in the next year, and then we have all the performances. On Friday night, we do more the funny, slappy, slop dance and on Saturday the Garde dances, and it also has become a tradition that we have little workshops where groups share their knowledge and experiences and so on. And then, of course, we have still enough time to drink a lot of German beer. I think that is also part of GAMGA tradition, that we have German beer in Las Vegas, and a lot.
Very important.
And by the way, I also must not forget to thank our beer sponsors, which has worked out for many, many years and helps us a lot.
All right, absolutely.
Holger came up and says the Friday night events. We didn't have those. Rob was the one who started it. Before the Prinzengarde, they wanted to go out Friday night. And Rob Gunneman, he wanted to dance. And he kept the Prinzengarde there to perform. And then South Bay actually was the very first one to perform on Friday night, because they came and said, we are not good enough for Saturday night. We want to perform on Friday night. And all of a sudden, Friday night is probably for many people more interesting than Saturday night. So GAMGA itself doesn't have much. GAMGA depends on the people who bring something. But GAMGA is the organization to put it together so other people can perform. That is our job.
What, what would you think? How many performances do we have every night?
Well, you know better than me, a dozen.
No, of course.
Well, what I'd say is, one of the really nice things about the GAMGA Gala, the way we have it now, is just the big variety of performances. I know, like some of my colleagues have touched on, Friday night is more skit dances, costumes and whatnot. We have one very official act where we decrown the old Prinzenpaar and crown the new Prinzenpaar. But for the most part, it's very low key, costumes, theme dances and whatnot. And then Saturday is really more the pomp and circumstance. That's when you're in your volle Prunk. I mean, you got your shoes nice and shined. Everybody's in their Garde uniform, the Elfrat uniform. And so each night has its own unique character. And what's really nice, I mean, because I'm actually the one that puts together the program as the GAMGA Vice President, is that you seem to have even participation in terms of skit dances on Friday night, as well as formal Garde dances on Saturday night. And as Walter said, there's some groups that just want to perform on Friday. There's other groups that just want to perform on Saturday. But all in all, I'd say I divvy it up into five or six performances per performance block. So I'd say Friday night, just like Saturday night, you're looking at anywhere from 10 to 12 performances from various groups. And also factor in that some of the groups, they have multiple performances. Like on a Saturday, for example, you might have a club that has a Funkenmariechen. And then for the next part of their performance, they have the Prinzengarde goes out there and performs together. And then the final bit of the performance block for this particular Verein is going to be the Tanzpaar. And so it's really interesting between, the two nights and also just within the performances, we've got a very fun, unique variety in terms of performances that are on the table. And people work very hard. I mean, whether they're traveling from all the way from Canada, or whether it's the group in Las Vegas that maybe just has to drive a few blocks to get to the hotel. Everybody really practices hard and they really put together great performances. And I think Friday night and Saturday night, they're both really a lot of fun. And I think there really is something for everybody at GAMGA
Yeah,
Gala.
that makes a lot of sense. That's very well put. I again, the couple of times that I've had a chance to attend, I like those blocks. And then with some socializing and dancing in between, I thought that was a very good structure. So. And yes, I agree with Walter that it is what the clubs bring that really makes GAMGA what it is. That said, GAMGA has its own Prinzenpaar. Who picks that Prinzenpaar? Who is there an application process? How does that work? I see Holger nodding. You want to elaborate on how that works, Holger?
Yes, we have an application process. The Prinzenpaar, that is interested, it has to be a Prinzenpaar that was a Prinzenpaar in a club before. Yeah, that is a condition, and they can send us an application, and then the GAMGA board makes a choice considering Also where, so that we don't have Anaheim 5 years in a row and things like that. It should be fair, and it has been very fair for the last couple of years. So I mean, we had it from the Midwest and from all around the country. So that's nice.
That makes a lot of sense. So what kind of support does the GAMGA board then give to that GAMGA Prinzenpaar? I mean, is there a budget that they have, or is that the most representative? Do they need to kind of worry about their own fundraising? How does that work?
Yeah, let's see. It is a task. Of course, they have to get the princess has to get their own uniform. The prince, we have 2 or 3 uniforms that we basically lend out for the season. But other than that, they have to take care for everything themselves, for their orden, for their travel, and so on. Of course, we have a white paper where we wrote down these are the experiences from the past, and do this and don't do that, and of course, I didn't mention it, but we also have a tradition that we have parties at the night after the. Quite famous, I would say, and one night there is also the GAMGA Prinzenpaar party.
Yeah, that's those tend to be lots of fun. So yes, no doubt about it. And for those of you who are watching at home, you probably got some good memories on some of those after parties. Well, if you don't, then you're doing something wrong at the GAMGA Gala if you're not going in. So speaking of GAMGA Gala, so obviously that's the big event every year, and it's been in Vegas. But are there any other events that GAMGA has? Anything else that is organized throughout the year that that happens
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You made a comment about the performance blocks. That is really nice. As long as we had people from Cologne in charge, no performance blocks. Everything had to be done in one shot. And after that, we had blocks, because Holger and I figured people don't want to sit there for 3 hours, 4 hours. They want to relax in between. They want to dance in between. I was told, oh, the people on stage, they will not come back if there is a break. And I have not seen anything that anybody is missing. They all come back without any problem. And see, those little things we had to develop little by little. Every year we get together. How can we do it a little better? And everybody can come in. And I was probably the person with the least experience who became president. I relied on other people to help me, and I listened. Now, all of a sudden, you're president, but you have to listen to 24 group presidents. And it became very easy. I let everybody talk, and then we made a decision, and there was no problem. So, and Holger knows it, and he keeps going.
Yeah, so, and of course that brings people to the main event, but does it take those other presidents to plan any other events throughout the year maybe in different parts of the country as well?
Every organization has their own events.
Right.
And the GAMGA Prince comes to as many events as he can handle or wants to handle. And we visit other organizations, as many as possible. So there is interaction. And during my presidency, I have not visited every organization, not all 25, but I have been to most of them.
Okay.
And wherever we had a prince, and we had a prince from Florida, I traveled to Florida to visit him before GAMGA. I wanted to see what was going on. I went to Canada to look for a prince. And I found out it didn't work. He wasn't ready.
Hmm.
About 2 years later, he became prince. But if you do things fairly careful, it works out.
Okay. So that, go ahead, Kurt.
You know, I was going to say one of the nice things is once we crown our GAMGA Prinzenpaar, that's why we want to try to keep GAMGA the first carnival event of the new year. So that way, once we have a Prinzenpaar, they can travel to various club events that Walter Lübke was talking about, for example. And the nice thing, when the GAMGA Prinzenpaar travels to an event, say, be it San Diego or Chicago or Florida, typically, if possible, they bring with them the GAMGA Funkenmariechen, as well as the GAMGA Tanzpaar, GAMGA Tanzmariechen, and that way they have a group of performers with them as well. And also the board, I mean, you know, we also try to travel where we can. And so it's not just the GAMGA Prinzenpaar. When GAMGA officially visits a carnival event, typically you see a whole GAMGA delegation of performers and board members and somebody carrying the flag. And so it's really kind of fun to make a big splash at these events. It's not just one club hosting an event, but other clubs coming to visit, and also the GAMGA board coming to visit, the GAMGA delegation, and everybody brings their performers. And it's really a way to just keep everything going throughout the year. So it's not just one big party in January where we all get together and then we go our separate ways. We try to join each other for our various events as well, and really just keep the carnival spirit going and everybody having fun and just having some amazing performances throughout the carnival season.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, let's extend that then. And I haven't been to an event where the GAMGA delegation was there. That would be interesting to see. I can imagine the local club. That's probably quite a privilege, and probably it makes it a very special event. But how about beyond GAMGA clubs? Are there any other relationships with other Vereine, say in Germany or say other parts of the world, that GAMGA maintains, and that you might have had an opportunity to go visit at some point in time as well? Holger.
Number one, we are a member of the Bund Deutscher Karneval, official. So Walter usually goes there. And then we have more or less loose relationships with a couple of groups in our Karnevalverein in Germany, and especially strong with Berlin. They come almost every year. When was it? Last year we had actually the Prinzenpaar from Berlin, from the capital of Germany, at GAMGA. And then once in a while a group from the Rhineland comes, and yeah, from Namibia. Yeah, we have relationships, and of course, if the GAMGA Prinzenpaar has the opportunity, they also go to Germany and make new contacts and new friends, and improve those relationships.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm personally aware of the relationship with Vika in Namibia. I've had a chance to go there a couple of times, and that's a connection that Walter was kind enough to make for me, and Mona, of course, as well, his daughter. So that was always a good time to go down there to see how Carnival is celebrated in a very different part of the world at a very different time of year as well. But I'll let that be the topic of a different presentation. I guess last but not least, as we're coming to a close here, you know, every organization has some fun events, some great memories that kind of have built over the years, and some of those are either very poignant to the organization. Some of them are pretty funny. So can you guys remember like any like moments with either for the GAMGA board or maybe one of the GAMGA events where you can think back to and says that was a pretty hilarious event. That was pretty especially funny. Any thoughts that come to mind about some of those occurrences, some of those events?
Yeah, nothing super special comes to mind. And I also have to say, as a GAMGA board, if you are up there on the stage and just trying to focus, how can we keep it going and so on, sometimes I just blur out, you know, just looking at what's coming next and so on. But maybe Kota has another idea.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many great performances over the years and so many great memories. And maybe some of the fun we had at 4 or 5 in the morning may have been deleted from some of the good German beer we've been talking about. But yeah, I mean, like Holger said, I mean, when you're on duty during performances, I mean, you're focused on what's happening next. Certainly we enjoy the performances. We kind of have a unique view on the GAMGA board in that we see the performances from the back as opposed to seeing them from the front. But nonetheless, we do very much enjoy the performances. I think one performance that really jumps out at me, it actually did not happen at a GAMGA, but it instead happened at a carnival opening in Las Vegas. So same city, but just a different event, when I was the Tanzpaar of the San Diego Karnevalsgesellschaft. And my Tanzmariechen and I, we got on the dance floor, the music the music came on, we started marching, smiling, getting into our performance, and about 5 seconds later, the battery on the musical device went out. And so, I mean, we were ready to go, and all of a sudden, I don't want to say mid-performance, but early on in the performance, the battery cut out, and certainly we were disappointed. We were upset by that, but we're really passionate about performing, and so we said, it doesn't matter. We spoke with the organizers of the event. We said, hey, we still want to perform, and they said, yes, we've got time in the program tonight. We're going to put you on, and so we did have a chance to go out there. This time, the music did not cut out on us. We performed all the way through, and that's just really some of the fun you have at these carnival events in general. I mean, you see how passionate people are about these performances, and it's not just, oh, it didn't work out. It's like, no, like we want to go out there, we want to give it our best, because it's all a lot of fun. But when you're performing and you're putting on these events, part of the fun is looking your best, and it's something we're all very passionate about and really enjoy. So yeah, that was one memory that stood out to me that really kind of just embodies that attitude we all have to our GAMGA Gala event, whether it be marching in or performing, or some of the jokes we tell. We're just really passionate about all of it, and it's really nice to have such a strong passion and have so much fun doing it.
For sure, yeah. And boy, I mean, what a moment there to be a Tanzpaar and for the music to cut out. That's got to be just
I'll never forget.
Yeah, Walter, any moment?
Yeah, for many years we kept struggling with our GAMGA Elverrad. We could not get this together, and 5 minutes before marching, everybody came running on what I'm supposed to do. Then one person showed, or I pulled him in. Actually, I went, instead of going to Germany, I went to Carnival in Denver. I figured Denver is pretty much the center of the United States when you look at the map. Very close. And they had a 3-day event, and I went over there and took my wife along. And then I got picked up at the airport, and they said, oh, we can stay at a private home for the first night, and then we see how we keep going. So Friday night, we went to an event. Then I heard about black ice. I didn't know what black ice was, but it didn't sound good. So the people took us home, and I stayed in their home for the whole 3 days because I didn't want to deal with black ice. We got along very well. And when I came back, or at the end, I said to the other carnival people, this guy, would you mind if he becomes the GAMGA president? Would you promote him? They never thought they could handle that. So when our Bill Collins became GAMGA prince, and he did so much work, we opened up our board for an extra person, and he organized our Elverrad. After he organized it, he found a man to keep it going. So, and now we have an excellent Elverrad. So you have to find the right people to handle it. And then it becomes a piece of cake,
Well, it's probably, I mean, you're just distributing the work, because obviously it takes more than one person to do all this work. And trust me, I'm involved with the Trachtengruppe as well. And, one person by themselves is going to get so far. So,
before me, GAMGA was pretty much a one-man job.
Yeah.
But I was too dumb for that. And I got an excellent team together. It worked excellent from day one. I started out with next to nothing. All the board fell apart when I became president. And put a team together. We had one treasurer who could not handle the job. But she paid a person to do the job for her because she wanted to be on the board. And
okay.
hey, it worked.
Yeah.
Great. And nobody quit till somebody died.
Yeah.
Then they put Kurt on board. And I mean, Kurt has a long history. When he was a small kid, he was in the youth dance group, and we made radio commercials. And we sat together for hours to get commercials together. And then Kurt came and says, I've outgrown the kinder group. I would like to join the adults. That was a problem. He wasn't old enough to drink beer. He was able to drink beer and willing to drink beer. But the Emerald didn't want anybody who couldn't drink beer. So I ended up starting a total group, young men dance group. The oldest was 64. That's what I could get together.
Oh, there you go.
Huge variety of ages in that group, the Husaren, I remember.
But this group struggled. The following year, we found a cheerleader instructor found us. And he built up we put the men and girls together, and we had a performance group at the Phoenix Club. Next to nobody could compete. And we went with this group to Germany, and we were at the anniversary of the Schnüsse Trink, 100-year anniversary, and they did not want to have anything to do with us. We paid for the tickets to get in, but I wanted to get in there because Heinz Kumrei told me that is a group to visit. And we ended up on the stage performing with our group. And the next day we performed to a TV station. So we had a great time there. And of course they performed that in Las Vegas. It held only a couple of years because then the main people got married and the women didn't agree. So, but Kurt knows that. And but then Kurt built himself up from a little kid. And so when we needed a person on the GAMGA board, there was no argument. I had to see Kurt.
Yeah. I didn't hesitate. I said yes right away.
Well,
we had no choice.
we earn our way there too. So obviously that happened that way too. Last but not least, and let's look in the future here as we finish. And I appreciate your time very much. But I guess I'll send it to Holger. GAMGA, as Walter just illustrated a little bit. Obviously, there needs to be some junges Blut, as you would say in Germany. You need to refresh personnel. You need to bring new people in. And of course, as fewer Germans who come from Germany to the United States, you obviously have an issue with either recruiting the locals, if you will, or finding new ways to do this. Any strategies that GAMGA has talked about that might take GAMGA into the next 20 years of celebrating the German Karneval in North America?
GAMGA has no control over this.
Well, hang
Because
on.
GAMGA depends on the other organizations.
You're absolutely right. But with GAMGA, you do have a coordinating body, if you will, that I think a lot of single clubs would have a hard time accomplishing. And yes, of course, GAMGA can't be everywhere. I get it. But I would hope that there will be at least some thought at the top levels of how this might be done, Holger.
Yeah, there's basically two things. Of course, we are always looking for new board members, promising board members, and bringing, let's say, new blood in. And let's say me, 11 years, it's getting to a point where maybe someone else and so on. But the main thing is with Carnival here and in Germany, if we don't bring young people to Carnival, Carnival will die. And many clubs died from that. So our contribution, GAMGA's contribution to that is, number one, we give the kids priority with the performances. I would say we probably bring kids and their parents, probably somewhere around 150 people, maybe even more, to GAMGA each year. Yeah, and they enjoy it. I mean, where else can they perform in Las Vegas in front of 800 people? It's a great thing. And I know my kids really enjoyed that. And and on top of that, if we have a little profit of the year, we always spend all of that profit only for kids groups. So we give them subsidies. They send us their requests, and then we negotiate a little bit, but they get something to help them to cover their expenses, to motivate them, and to bring them to Las Vegas and keep the whole thing alive. And I see it in San Diego, I see it in Anaheim, I see it in other clubs. That works. These young people, they stay, and that keeps these groups alive and young. And that's what we want to do with GAMGA.
Yeah, I think that's great. I did not know that, and I think that's great support. Again, and I agree with Walter. It does need to happen at the local clubs, but for GAMGA to do something at that level of with that mission of keeping young people in, I think is awesome. I see German clubs struggle Tanzpaar as well because again the attracting the youth with all the competing interests that are out there, everything from video games to sports and other things. It certainly has made it difficult for a lot of Karnevalsvereine in Germany as well. But to have a support structure, as you're describing, I think it's very, very smart and very, very, very forward-looking, because you're absolutely right. Without the young people at some point in time, not that the Carnival doesn't need to change again as people change a little bit. Even the traditions as they are need to evolve, I think, here and there. But I think that's a very smart move on the GAMGA board part.
I also want to add, we even have one virtual Carnival group as a member. So those are kids that basically studied together. They call them the Berkeley Troopers, and then they spread all over the country. And they come now for, I think, 6 or 7 years, and every year they become more. Now, last year, I think they came with almost 20 people, with members that basically have no idea what Carnival means initially, but they enjoy it, they come back.
So hang on, those folks aren't all from Berkeley?
Not anymore.
They studied together at Berkeley, but yeah, they've all gone their separate ways at this point.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Walter, as the Ehrenpräsident, I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, when I became president, in my opening speech, I brought up we need young people, and I wanted to welcome the youth. It happened to me that my youngest daughter was not welcome at GAMGA. We squeezed it in that she was able to perform. But when I became president and I got support from Holger and especially from Holger's wife, at the very next event, we had a separate dance floor for the kids. And we kept it that way. There's always a small dance floor and a corner for the kids where they can do arts and crafts and dance, whatever they want to do, they can do there. And they march in. And so, and we are really, we know that we need young people. And it is our top priority. That's what Holger mentioned exactly. We don't care whether we make a profit, and if we have a profit and can send it to the kids right away, we have been doing that for years now. So that's our main priority. Sorry, we didn't bring it up earlier.
I'm glad that we were able to get it out. And again, I think you guys are being exemplary there. As they would say in Germany, da könnte man sich manchmal eine Scheibe von abschneiden from that kind of an incentive.
Can I do one last thing?
Please, Holger.
So next year, 2021, unfortunately, all events are cancelled like everywhere. So, but in 2022, Martin Luther King weekend, GAMGA at the Rio. I want to see all your viewers, and we will have the greatest party ever. The post-COVID party, I think that should be a really, really big party. All come, please.
I can only echo that, and I very much hope so too. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you for sharing of your experience and the directions of the GAMGA board. And I do very much echo the invitation that hopefully everyone will be able to come to GAMGA Gala 22 in Las Vegas at the Rio on MLK weekend in 2022. Once again, thank you very much. Dankeschön. And let's close with a dreifach kräftige GAMGA.
Hello.
Hello. GAMGA.
Hello.
GAMGA.
Hello.
Herzlichen
Prost.
Dank. Prost. Auf Wiedersehen.
Tschüss.